I think the biggest challenge that resellers face and the biggest setback is buying more than you're actually listing and getting sold. You have that ever-growing death pile, it's getting bigger, there's no end in sight, and you're getting overwhelmed, frustrated, discouraged, you're not sure what to do and how to get these items listed online. The most fun part, in my opinion, is going out and treasure hunting and finding these items, because the thrill of the hunt is what keeps you going and gets you pumped and excited about being a reseller online. The problem is you can't make money off these items if they're just sitting in a death pile in a garage, storage, a spare room in your house, and they're really not making you any money because nobody is seeing them. You're going to run out of room fast and run out of funds if you're spending all the money invested in your business and buying the items and not investing any time in getting them sold. In today's video, we're going to go over a few different things that cause resellers to not get these items listed, and then some ways to counteract those problems so you can grow a more profitable business and start seeing money from those items that you hunted earlier and actually get some of those things sold. Hello everyone, Kevin here, also known as Resale Geek, and today in this video we're going to talk about one of the biggest challenges that resellers face. Loving to buy items, and you have that huge death pile accumulating, but then listing them and getting them sold on eBay isn't as appealing, so you wind up with this huge pile of stuff that's not selling, and you just keep on buying and buying more items, but then they're not actually getting sold. There are many reasons why this can happen, and it doesn't just happen to new sellers. It can happen to experienced sellers as well, because let's face it, going out and finding the items is a heck of a lot more fun than sitting in front of a computer, setting up an item and taking a million pictures to get the right ones, or sitting on hours on end trying to get things listed, trying to get things sorted and organized, because you actually have to put in the legwork and make money and get these things sold. Who wants to spend time doing that when it's so much more fun going out and finding the items? The only issue with that, though, is that if you're not actually listing the items that you're finding out in the wild and getting sold, then they're not making you any money. So the more you spend money and you're not making money, you're going to run out pretty fast. Not to mention, one of the whole reasons you started this business was so you can actually turn a profit. There are a few things that, in my opinion, are the most common problematic issues, and the things that we can do to counteract those problems so that you can actually start getting these things sold, attack your death pile, and start making some money on eBay. The first one we're going to talk about today is you have to make a conscious effort to stop buying items until you actually get the ones you have listed. In my opinion, this is probably the hardest one. So much more fun, like I said earlier, to go out to the garage sales, the resale shops, flea markets, wherever you go to find your items, and buy these things, the rush that you get from finding that valuable item, than it is sitting in front of a computer and actually doing the legwork, doing the grunt work, as I like to say, to get these things listed. The best way to counteract that is just make a conscious, firm decision. I am not buying any more items until this huge mountain of items I have sitting here gets listed and they start selling. The second one is not having any goals. If you're just aimlessly wandering around and not really sure what to do because you don't have any goal, nothing really to work toward, that's going to cause some problems in progress as well. How do you fix that? Set some goals for yourself. Start with how many items per day you plan on listing. That way you can have some type of measurable, achievable goal. The way you can kind of figure out what works for you is time yourself. One day, just take an item that you'd like to get listed online. Don't overthink it. Just grab an item from your death pile. You want to start to finish as far as your process goes. That way there you have an idea of how long it takes you to list one item. Then you can perfect that process so you can get multiple items listed. And then that gives you a rough idea of how much time out of your day you'll need to reach your goal of getting your items listed. Let's say, for example, I have one item I'd like to see how long it takes me to list. I know my process from start to finish: prep the item, photograph the item, enter the item in my listing inventory, and then actually physically list the item on eBay and creating the listing. Let's suppose it takes me a few minutes to prep the item. It's a pair of sneakers. It takes me like another minute or two to take about 10 to 12 really good pictures. I want to get the top, the sides, the soles, the insoles, the back, maybe different angles of each one, maybe a couple of up-close pictures so this way the buyer can see the details of what it is they're thinking about purchasing. And then I go to enter the item in my inventory, so find a place in my storage room, document where it is, and then I go to the actual listing with a good template or having a lot of the information pre-populated or copying from another listing. I can usually crank out a listing in less than 5 minutes. The total amount of time it would take to do one item, fully process one item from start to finish, would probably be 10 minutes or less. And this is going to vary, of course, depending on what the item is you're selling, how many of them you're selling, the complexity that's involved as far as prepping the item, taking the pictures, and your listing itself on eBay, you want to keep as simple as possible. Now that you know it takes 10 minutes or less for one item, determine how much time you want to dedicate to listing items on eBay in one day. I recommend 2 to 3 hours. Once you establish how long it takes you to get these items listed, then you can set your goal. Once you get in the hang of things and you get more experienced, that amount of time it takes you to list is going to go down, especially once you start figuring out what works best for you, ways you can improve your process, maybe even do a little bit of research online and learn from other resellers so you can share best practices. The third item on my list, one of the things that I'm guilty of actually a lot of the time, don't overthink things. Sellers overthink things, don't know where to start, especially when you're overwhelmed with this huge death pile, this huge mountain of items that you've accumulated. And it's like, okay, where do I start? Do I start from the top, from the bottom, from the side? Do I start with the shoes, the clothing, electronics, the older items, the newer items? Like, where do I start? Honestly, it doesn't matter because your goal is the same, to get all of these items listed. It doesn't matter where you start. Don't overthink it. Just grab an item, start processing them, and dive right in. As long as you have a plan and you've already set a goal of how many items you want to list, and you've already established a basic process, that's all you need in order to get started and get on the road to start becoming profitable and productive and getting these items listed on eBay. Number 4 is hold yourself accountable, accountability. Most resellers don't hold themselves accountable because they treat it more like a hobby than they do a business. More experienced resellers, newer resellers, we're all guilty of this. We've done it at some point. Life gets in the way. You have to pick up your sister from practice, meet other obligations, you made other plans, you get interrupted constantly throughout the day. It's very easy to get discouraged or sidetracked. When you hold yourself accountable, that stops that from happening. You're more aware of what's happening with your business. When I say accountability, I mean once you've set a goal, established a process, you started the process of getting items listed, you see that you're not meeting your daily goal, kind of take a look and say, okay, what caused me to not meet that goal? Was it the constant interruptions? Maybe I need to put my phone on airplane mode or do not disturb. The limitations of my equipment. Maybe I need a better camera. My pictures took too long to transfer or they didn't come out good. I need a dedicated printer for my labels as opposed to using a regular inkjet or laser printer. Maybe I need to invest in an actual label printer so I can be more efficient. You know, whatever you identify in your business that's causing you to not meet these goals, figure them out, take steps to remedy them, rinse and repeat. So once you see that you're back on track, constantly hold yourself accountable if for some reason you're not meeting the goals, and then you try again the next day to meet those goals you've set for yourself. And if for some reason it seems like maybe you're just consistently having issues meeting those goals, it might be time to take a step back, reevaluate those goals to make sure that they're still attainable and still realistic, and then make some adjustments if necessary so that you're not being too hard on yourself and you're not getting discouraged. You do want to set goals, but you also want to set goals that are attainable and realistic for what you're doing. All right, so let's recap and kind of summarize the 4 things that I talked about today that I feel cause items not to get listed and cause that huge mountain, that huge death pile, cause you to get overwhelmed and not get anything accomplished. The first one, decide. You have to make a conscious decision to stop buying anything else until you get those items listed and eventually sold. The second one is set goals. If you're just aimlessly wandering around and you don't have any goals set, nothing to work toward that's going to be tangible, measurable, or attainable, then you're not going to be very productive and you're just going to be spinning your wheels, wondering what you should be doing and how much of it you should be doing. The third one is take action. Stop thinking too much, have a plan, and then execute it. If you just dive right in, go through the motions, and follow your process, then you're sure to succeed, you'll start being more productive, and you'll see results that are actually measurable. The fourth one, which is the last but definitely not the least, is going to be accountability. Once you've established goals, a process, and you've started taking action, if you're not meeting your goals for some reason, accountability just means that you're identifying things that are causing you not to meet those goals, improving them or changing them. If you see that the goals are still having difficulty being met, maybe tweaking those goals and making some adjustments to make sure those goals are actually attainable, then you can challenge yourself to go to the next level and scale your business once you see you're consistently meeting your goals. I hope this video has helped y'all today. If it has, feel free to like and subscribe to the channel. If you have any thoughts, suggestions, comments, or questions, please drop them in the comments below. And otherwise, this is Resell Geek, and see you on the next one. Peace!